Bees, I'm Marie from Humble Bee and Me, and today we are doing another Bee Better project. So this beautiful hemp and shea hand and body lotion is a bee betterification of a lotion I shared at the end of October 2014. That lotion from 2014 had a lot of H's in it. It was a healing herbal hemp and shea lotion. One of the first things I did with this updated version was create it entirely in percents. With the original from 2014, you can kind of see that I was sort of thinking about percents, and that if you add up all of the weights that I used, it adds up to 200 grams, so sort of, 1% equaled 2 grams, but then there were some things that were added in drops and teaspoons as well, so, not really. Another big thing I did is I reduced the size of the oil phase. In the original, I remember that I put it in a pumped up bottle, and you can see that in the photos, but I do remember that when we got about halfway through the batch, it stopped really dispensing, and that's just because the lotion was too thick. Thick things, you'll be able to pump them out for a while, but after a while, kind of have the weight pushing it down and up, and it doesn't pump out. It's like a Slurpee when you've had like 80% of it, and then the bottom few inches just like, haha, no. So, in order to make this more pump top friendly, I've reduced the oil phase, as reducing the internal phase reduces the viscosity of the end product. The oil phase ingredients are almost exactly the same, there's just less of them. So there is unrefined hemp seed oil, which is a really lovely green color, and beautiful unrefined shea butter. Our emulsifier is Reedemulse SCG, which is an EcoCert emulsifying wax, and it creates really lovely emulsions with a really gorgeous, almost powdery skin feel. I also included a little bit of cetyl alcohol for a bit of viscosity and silky gorgeousness. Now, the theme of the original lotion was sort of healing and soothing, and I've kept that theme, but with some slightly different ingredients. They both contain gorgeous colloidal oatmeal, which I absolutely love on my skin. And then in this newer version, you will find some lovely things like calendula extract and bisabolol. The 2014 version included some allantoin, and this one does as well, but I've included it in a slightly different way. Now that I know more about allantoin and its water solubility rate, I have calculated the amount of allantoin to match the amount of water that there is in the formulation so that there is enough solvent for it. Ensuring that there is enough solvent present in the formulation helps ensure that you don't get that kind of shardy feeling that you can sometimes get with allantoin when it doesn't want to dissolve in a product. You'll also find some gorgeous humectants in the form of vegetable glycerin and sodium lactate to help keep our skin moisturized and happy. The scent in this lotion comes from a few places. I have included a sweetgrass hydrosol. You could also use chamomile hydrosol instead in the water phase. And then we do get some wee, just soft scent notes from the hemp oil, which kind of has a green smell to it, and the shea butter, which has quite a characteristic sort of nutty, almost smoky scent. And then to round that off, I've included 0.1% dark patchouli oil. I know patchouli can be pretty polarizing, so if you don't like it, you could replace it with something like lavender essential oil, or you could leave it out entirely and just add another 0.1% to the water. The finished lotion is really lovely and just the thing as we are going into these drier fall days. As always, make sure you are reading the blog posts linked in the description box below, and I will also link to the 2014 version of this Bee Better project so you can take a look at that. But come on, let's get started. We'll begin by combining the ingredients for our heated water phase and our heated oil phase in two separate heat-resistant glass measuring cups. So in this one, I already have 48.9 grams of distilled water. To that, we're going to add 20 grams of sweetgrass hydrosol or chamomile hydrosol, whichever you have or prefer, 5 grams sodium lactate, 5 grams vegetable glycerin, 3 grams powdered panthenol or vitamin B5, and 2 grams colloidal oatmeal. For our heated oil phase, you'll need 3 grams Reedemulse SCG, and if you don't have this, please make sure you're reading the blog post for substitutions. That's linked in the description box below. 4 grams shea butter, refined or unrefined. 5 grams hemp seed oil. You can see that this is unrefined hemp seed oil from its lovely green color, and 1.5 grams cetyl alcohol. Before we move on to heating, I'm going to weigh the water phase and note that weight, making sure to note it also includes the spatula. Weighing the water phase and noting the weight allows us to replace any water lost during the heating phase to evaporation. To heat everything through, I'm going to use a water bath. So this is a wide, flat bottom saute pan with about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water on the bottom of it. And I'm going to put both of our heated phases in here. And then I'm going to go put this on the stovetop over medium heat for about half an hour to melt everything through and bring both phases to the same temperature. Once everything is heated through, you can remove your water bath from the heat and then remove your measuring cups from the water bath. Up next, we're going to replace any water lost to evaporation. So pop that back on our scale, refer to that number we wrote down earlier, and top the water phase back up to that number with a bit of preheated distilled water. Give that a stir and pour it into our oil phase. Up next, we'll grab our immersion blender and start blending. We're going to start with a few quick pulses before working up to a full blend. All right, so that was about 2.5 minutes of blending. This is still quite warm. I can still feel heat coming off of it. I'm gonna leave this to cool for about 5 minutes and then come back and blend it some more. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. You can see that this is thickening up beautifully and looking absolutely gorgeous. It's still pretty warm, so give this another blending here. Okay, so that was about another minute of blending. So when you see me pick the blender up and down in the sped up portion, I have the blender off at that point in time. You don't want to be plunging the blender up and down with it on, and I'm doing it quite slowly as well, which probably doesn't come across great because the footage is sped up like 500 to 800%. But yeah, just kind of a gentle pull it up and then plunge it back down to make sure I'm getting as much product incorporated into the blending as possible. But yeah, not a vigorous pumping, and definitely not with the motor on. Still pretty warm, so leave that to cool for another 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes later, and oh goodness, this is looking utterly decadent. Still a wee bit warm, but we can set this aside and weigh out our cool down phase. We'll be weighing our cool down phase out into this small bowl using this more precise scale. So we've got a selection of goodies here. We'll need 0.3 grams allantoin, 1.5 grams liquid calendula extract, 0.3 grams bisabolol. And as a reminder, if you want to learn more about any of these ingredients, make sure you're looking them up in the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia. It has entries, like encyclopedia style entries, on tons and tons of different cosmetic ingredients that I use in my formulation. So if you're wondering about substitutions or where to buy them or why we use them, that information is all there. Need 0.3 grams Liquid Germall Plus, 0.1 grams vitamin E, and for scent, 0.1 grams dark patchouli essential oil. This is optional. I know patchouli is a fairly polarizing scent note. If you don't want to use it, read the blog to learn how to leave it out. Once the lotion has cooled to room temperature, we're ready to combine the lovely creamy emulsion with our cool down phase. So we're going to kind of add a blob or so of it to the cool down phase. Whisk to combine. And once this little dish is all silky smooth, scrape it back into the parent batch and stir to combine. And with that done, all that's left is packaging. For packaging, I'm going to use this green 100 milliliter pump top bottle. This is from Yellow Bee and it was a gift, and I thought, you know, the green was just perfect for the hemp theme. Pop a funnel in there and let's go. It is really lovely, gorgeous slip, absorbs really fast, doesn't feel greasy, and just has a very slight sort of botanical patchouli accented scent. And there we go. So we just made a really lovely hemp and shea body and hand lotion. If you'd like to learn more about this formulation, please make sure you're reading the blog post, which is linked in the description box below. You'll find a lot more information there, including information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, where to buy ingredients, and a whole lot more. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.